Welcome all. Today I've got a bunch of stuff that I want to cover that is probably going to be of interest to anybody who's into video, wants to do a bit of DIY and stuff like that. Some of it's to do with Pocket 4K, but not inherently so, just about that. And so there might be something of interest to everybody. The first thing I wanted to talk about was the video assist that I recently bought for the handheld rig. I spoke about that earlier, about how good the quality is of the screen itself. But I wanted to also show how well the follow focus actually works on it. So I did a short video of the focus and a screenshot of the VA while it's following the focus on the lens and on my little manky outdoor veranda floor, and it actually works out quite well because it shows very clearly how the follow focus works. So I'll play that now. It's only a short clip, and then I'll just talk a bit about it after that. Okay, so as you can see, it's very clear where the focus point is on there, and the ripples in the floor itself illuminate quite well. And that was shot at f2, so it's actually a fairly narrow band. If I'd closed it down more, that red marker would have been much wider or broader. And so as you focus from far away to close, etc., it very clearly shows you where the focus point is. So I reckon that's absolutely brilliant as far as the monitor goes. None of my other monitors do anything like that. They have focus peaking, but it's pretty insipid when compared to what the video assist does. Now, the video assist also has a very bright screen, and that obviously helps in outdoor areas. I'm only using it at half power at the moment, or half brightness. And it hasn't been really the sort of weather where I need to crank the brightness up, but with the shiny screen it could be a problem even at the highest setting. So I started pondering a monitor hood for it, and there's been a lot of talk, various forums and things like that, about a hood for the video assist units, both the 7 and the 5-inch ones. So I had a look in my little parts bin and found my monitor hood from my FieldWorld F570 monitor, which is a very low brightness one, and I haven't been using it or anything like that. So I just thought to see how it actually might sit on top of the 5-inch video assist, and it was actually quite a nice fit. It had no attachment method for it, so I thought, well, maybe I could make one. And after digging up some black plastic, I made a little bit of a measurement for the unit, and chopped it all up, and using some plastic glue I then mounted this extra strip to the front of the monitor hood itself, drilled a couple of holes, and used some quarter 20 screws to go through it. So it gave me a bit of an attachment point, and the monitor's got 3 quarter 20 holes at the top there anyway. And what it enables me to do now is just very quickly and easily put the hood onto the monitor itself, and it's actually quite strong. The plastic glue that I use for that is something that I use quite a lot, and it really does hold when it's plastic to plastic. You can separate it. Some plastics are very much harder to separate, but if it does come off, you can just re-glue it again, and good as gold. So that's actually quite good, and it does alleviate some of the reflections and things that the very bright screen will produce. So that FieldWorld F570 hood, you can get them off AliExpress for about $10, and then with a bit of DIY you should be able to make exactly the same thing as I have. Whether it fits other monitors, I can't tell you. You'd really have to take a punt if you want to spend $10 and see what you can fit, but the dimensions are relatively similar for most of these 5-inch monitors, so I would be surprised if the thing doesn't fit. But there's an idea for somebody who is looking for a monitor hood for the video assist monitor 5-inch anyway, and I don't know if there's anything available for 7-inch ones. Now, the other thing that I've been sort of pondering is, when using the camera, there are times when I'd really like to have a follow focus, but there's nothing about that allows you to sort of put a follow focus wheel onto the camera that will work and be able to be used easily. The tilter Nucleus Nano, you just can't put the control wheel anywhere on there to make it useful, and the little double handle thing I showed with the Fotka unit is not always good to take around, and so I don't use that very much. But what would be nice is, like with the gimbals that you can get nowadays, they all seem to have a follow focus wheel on the side of the handle, and that's controlled by what electrical system into the motor that sits at the top there. I don't think any of them use wireless for that part, but though they might. So it made me think, why doesn't anybody devise a follow focus handle to replace a stock handle that most people are now using, whether you're using cine cameras or whether you're using digital SLRs or mirrorless cameras. Just about everybody is rigging up, or at least a large proportion of people are rigging up a camera something similar to this, and a follow focus unit in the handle, batteries in the handle, with either a side wheel or a thumb wheel at the top, which is probably would be better because that's where your thumb falls, and just have a plug-in motor that goes in, so no wireless stuff or anything like that. And if you're ingenious enough, you could put two motors and have two plug holes in there to run zoom and focus. And if you wanted to, they could also produce, if you wanted to use the thing remotely, have a wireless attachment that you could attach to the camera and attach to the handle itself for wireless operation. But that would be just so much easier and so much more sensible. But everybody just follows the same old pattern of making what somebody else has made, and there's never any innovation in the system itself that I've seen. So that's pretty awkward and ordinary as far as I'm concerned. But I'm putting it out there. Somebody might see it and suddenly the penny might drop, and they might decide that that might be an idea after all. The other thing I've been looking at is the stabilisation. I've got two small gimbals, one that I've used with the phone that I put on a thing last week or so on YouTube. I'm not a great big fan of gimbals, as I've said. They have their purpose, but they are sometimes awkward to carry around, set up and all that sort of stuff, though, you know, once you've got it all set up for a particular camera, it's not too bad. But you do need to do your ninja walking and everything else, and the video that I put up most recently with the Filmic Pro topic, there was a lot of bobbing going around there. It didn't help that I had gumboots on and all that, but nonetheless, it was still nothing what I would expect from a gimbal that should sort of stabilise a little bit better than that. But that's partly my problem as well. So I've been sort of thinking about how to stabilise this camera when sort of moving about, standing still and so on, and short movements it's quite okay, but if you're walking it makes it a bit more difficult. So what I just pondered and tried out was, with my serial alloy tripod, or monopod I should say, I decided to attach that to the camera like so, which gave a surprisingly good balance to the thing. So when I was walking around, it didn't move around or bob around as badly as I anticipated. You had to sort of still try to do that ninja walk. Practice makes perfect, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. And I took a bit of a video of the before and after. The before was with this, without any in-post stabilisation, and the follow-up one was with stabilisation applied in Resolve, and it's not too bad, and especially if you're sort of standing still, it gives pretty good results as well. So I'll play that now, and so you can see exactly the difference between or what you can get with that, and then applying stabilisation in post. So as you can see, the results aren't too bad. I think they're potentially quite usable. In fact, they're probably better than some of the stuff I've seen in occasions, and some movies where there's a lot of action and movement, so you know, it'd be quite suitable for that. And it was probably comparable at least to the bobbing up and down which I did with the Filmic Pro video. So that's not too bad as far as I'm concerned. I'm quite happy with that. This monopod weighs about as much as a Crane 2S gimbal, which is probably the closest gimbal nowadays other than a Crane 3S that'll carry this unit, I believe, without having to disassemble it completely. But that's still an awkward thing. So this sort of works. I wish you could add a gyroscope or something at the tail end, and you'd probably get a very good stabiliser. These sort of things have been about for years, but gimbals have taken over from that. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about, and this is again generic, is some time back I spoke about the Zep-On Micro 2 slider, and what I recently did was I bought the motor for it. I've been sort of wanting that for some time, and I decided to bite the bullet, and there was a bit of a sale going on, so I managed to get it, and very simple to attach, but what a difference it makes. It's absolutely brilliant. A very, very quiet motor. You won't hear any noise about it at all. And I believe that Zep-On has been sort of working with new bits and pieces to complement this, give it a better stand and everything else, but I'm not too sure exactly how good that stand that they've operated or produced works, and there's not much of a description about it. So that was one of the frustrating things I had with the Zep-On, was the plate that allowed you to put the thing on the ground. And so I decided to go into my parts bin once again and see what I could find. And I found bits and pieces. That's the plate of the original Zep-On stand, or what do you want to call it. I took the legs off that, and I had some rails around, 20mm square rails with slots in it, or grooves, that are designed, I think, for shop fittings and things like that, from another project that I was doing a while back, and attached the plate to the centre of that, and took the legs off my 120cm slider, put them onto the ends, and that gave me a very nice and stable platform, quite solid, so I can actually put that on the ground anywhere now, and I can adjust the legs with the things there. And I've got a Arca Swiss plate that if I want to quickly mount it onto a tripod, I don't have to take the motor off, and the motor just fits in nicely there, and it's all very, very solid. So you can put the camera on, full 4.3 kilos, goes on without drama, and you're basically good to go. Now, what is very, very nice about this is that the app that comes with it, the Zep-On, whatever they call it, kicks in straight away, picks the motor up. It's very functional. It works consistently, has some really good options with it. This has been discussed on other YouTube videos, so I'm not going to go through all of that. But it is really one of the best apps that I've come across for any product. The Tech apps that come with the gimbals for their tuning are pretty ordinary, especially from the point of view that when you install it, they want access to everything on your phone virtually, including your phone ability to make phone calls and things like that. I have no idea why that's necessary. I think Google should put a stop to all of that sort of stuff. If the thing doesn't need to make phone calls, it shouldn't be asking permissions to do that, and the Tech one won't operate unless you actually allow it to do that. Now, I've got an old phone here with no SIM card in there, and I've got the Tech app inside of that, and that's just nothing but for controlling the slider and the gimbals. Now, the unique thing about the slider is, and I think that's already been done on the videos, is you can adjust it with a little controller slider on the phone. You can set a point. You can go back, do it the other way, set a second point. You can set 5 points, put it on recycle, and the thing just moves backwards and forwards as you want. Now, Zep-On didn't originally come with this motor. They brought it out later. Obviously, they had plans to make that. And looking at this little app that's on the phone, I believe it, I'm guessing that they're going to come up with some sort of a head that allows you to do tilt and remote rotate functions as well, like some of the sliders are able to do. And there's a follow focus option there as well, so maybe they have something for that as well, might be motorized, I don't know. But it's a really good little unit, and this works so well, and it's almost flawless. So I haven't had any problems with it at all in the relatively limited testing time that I've had with it. But I've got to say that I do like it. It's very, very good, and I think it's one of the best sliders that you can get. And with that sort of a mounting thing, which is pretty easy to make if anybody's handy with some tools, got a bit of a shed to work in, you can make yourself a much better stand than I think what Zep-On has come up with. It's one of those things that sometimes their best laid plans are not all that good after all. Now, that's sort of almost what I wanted to talk about. The final thing I just want to mention is that I'm actually videoing this on my phone. Hopefully the thing has gone recorded properly. I think Filmic Pro is really good for mobile phone videography. Obviously it's not going to be up to the standard of one of these, but it's surprisingly handy, and with the log feature available, it actually works very well, and something to ponder if anybody's got mobile phones and wants to do a bit of video. Camera quality obviously will make a huge difference. The Redmi Note 9S, you know, it's got a reasonable camera in it, and I think it's not too bad, but obviously there are a lot better ones around, but I'm not paying $1,000 to $2,000 for a mobile phone that has a much better camera in it, so I don't think it's worth it. And the other thing I did was I recently bought a Sakani X60 LED light. I was sort of pondering getting something a little bit better than what I've been doing, and just gives me a little bit more flexibility with lighting. I basically chose the Sakani over the Nanolite Forza and the Godox SL50 or 60, whatever it is, SL60, mainly because this was only about $20 more expensive. Sorry, the X60 was $20 more expensive than the Godox, and with the Sakani you get a bag, you get you know, the proper Bowens mount. Forza was more expensive by nearly $200, and you have to buy a special mount to take Bowens mount reflectors and things like that. So, you know, it's not too bad. I still haven't played around with the light sufficiently to really get a good handle on it, but I'm quite pleased with the way it performs and what you got with it, so it's not too bad. But at the end of the day, that's all I've got to say for this particular video, and hopefully I might have something interesting next time around. So thanks for watching, and cheers.